All right, Cancer, thanks for tuning in to your November of 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen, and let's have a look. Generally, there is emphasis on a little bit on career, a little bit on relationships, and for the most part, I really feel a shift into how you express yourself and what puts a smile on your face. We've got Saturn changing sign into your fifth house this month, at the very beginning of the month, actually. And so the emphasis on the past, the past 2.5 years really has been on the work and, the home and the family, and putting work into those areas. And also, anything to do with the past also. So putting energy into there, perhaps a lot of you have, restructured the home, put a lot of energy into that, spent a lot of time with family, reacquainting with them, or establishing a family. A lot of you starting a new family, whatever that's been for you individually. And it could also just be you becoming more firmer and stronger within yourself over the past 2.5 years, because the fourth house, the bottom of the chart, has to do with your inner self, and in this case your inner strength, and really having a mastery over that, and a mastery over your emotions. So in essence, now Saturn is leaving that house alone, and so there's going to be a lift in terms of perhaps, because sometimes Saturn can be a little bit restricted feeling, and if there's been a little bit of that feeling in terms of that home, family, past, whatever, in emotions and feelings, know that now he's shifting signs, and there's always a relief when this happens. Now he's going into your fifth, and what's interesting is that all these other planets this month are actually following Saturn into the fifth house, which doesn't normally happen. So first to touch Saturn in the fifth will be Venus, and then followed by the Sun, and then Mercury. So the first hit with Venus really suggests that relationships are playing a big role in all this. But let's talk about what the fifth house actually is. Fifth house is what puts a smile on your face. It's your self-expression, it's your creativity, it's any type of entrepreneurship or anything that you're doing in terms of creative projects or anything of that nature. Also children, it's ruled by the fifth house. Some of you might become parents for the next, at some point in the next 2.5 years. Some of you might start new businesses. Some of you might start new creative projects, stuff like that. So there's a lot of constructive energy in that area, and it's going to be subtle because it's a slow planet, so it's subtle, but the shift is happening this month. And we will feel it, I feel, because these faster moving planets are following Saturn into the fifth. And like I said, the first of that is Venus, and Venus is about our relationships, and it's also about our enjoyment. And I've been saying in my other readings that, with Venus going in there first, it's like we're wanting to make these, we're wanting to shift. We're ready for Saturn to change sign. We're ready to put some productive energy into another area of our life now. And so a lot of us might be, wanting to do those creative things or the parenting or whatever it is. So flowing with that, and there's an enjoyment, and that's really setting the stage for the month, I really feel. And then the Sun goes in there, which is then about our expression, which is what the fifth house is all about. The Sun loves to be in the fifth house. And so there's a joy and expression in that, and really coming alive. And then Mercury going into that house is then opening up communications and the more busy day-to-day mundane aspects of that house as well. And then so as these planets go in there, there's going to be less of the emphasis on that fourth house, and then more and more emphasis on the fifth as the month progresses. Now let's talk about your ruler of the moon. We're going to have a full moon on the 6th this month, and this is where career really takes an important role this month. So the full moon is essentially culmination, and so I think this is a time when a lot of you are going to be able to really see the big picture in terms of career. And this is anything 10th house related, also public image or anything that you do in society in terms of your part in society. But being able to see it, the full moon is illuminating it, and so this is a good time to make some plans for those of you who are emphasizing your career lately. To see the big picture, make some plans, because you'll have the awareness and the insight will be there. So, and obviously it's in Aries for you guys, so there's energy. It's a very energetic month for a lot of us. So for you guys, there is a lot of energy to be put into the career sector. Now, another aspect involving your career is that the ruler of your 10th, Mars, is conjuncting up to Pluto on the 10th in the beginning of the month. So Pluto is about restructuring. So a lot of you are going to be restructuring your career this month, I feel. Or perhaps making it more meaningful, more true to what you're about. But in either case, anytime Mars conjuncts Pluto, there's a tremendous amount of energy. Very powerful energy, actually. So the key here is to really channel this energy as efficiently as possible. So for those of you who feel like you have excess energy, you may need to work it off through exercises. But if you can channel it, then the best avenue, especially for you Cancerians, I feel will be in terms of your work, and also in terms of your day-to-day activities, which has to do with your health. So maybe working out actually in a way that's, you know, increasing your health. And anything that is about the day-to-day too, so managing your day-to-day lives a little bit better, putting energy into creating more structure in your everyday life. So, and that's because this aspect is happening in your 6th. But in either case, I feel a lot of energy being channeled into work this month. So really use it, really tap into that because it's available. Now the new moon is happening on the 22nd, and this is happening in that 5th house. So I feel that there's a shift in that 5th, and then by the end of the month, around the 22nd, there's something new, a new insight, a new beginning. Those of you, you know, something new, maybe starting those new projects or whatever it is. And that's the subtle energy that is then going to lead us into December for you guys. So strongly emphasized with that 5th house. It's also a great time to set intentions in the area of 5th house matters as well. Now Mars is going to be then shifting into your relationship sector on the 27th, and this is going to be for the next, you know, almost the next 2 months. So there's going to be a lot of energy towards the end of this month that can be used in relationships. So whatever that means, you know, forming new relationships, starting new relationships, doing things with people. For those of you, you know, partnerships is strongly emphasized with this, getting things done in partners. You know, when Mars transits the 7th house, it's usually a time when we're most productive and most we have the most energy when we're working with others and in tandem in a type of partnership situation. So utilize that energy towards the end of the month. Now, there's also something else that was relationship related. Oh, right, the ruler of Saturn. For you guys, Saturn rules both your relationship sector and your 8th house sector. So while there's a strong emphasis, I feel, in terms of the 5th house this month, there's also a large emphasis on relationships. When Venus contacts Saturn early in the month, that's, I think, going to be a time when you guys are going to want to get a little bit more mature, a little bit more grounded in the relationship side of things. Then the Sun is a little bit funner, a little bit freer, and for those of you who are single, romantic period. You know, when the Sun goes over the ruler of the 7th like this, it can be a time of meeting someone new, or, you know, just having fun and you know, in that playful way where it's not relationship, you know, necessarily, you know, right off the bat, but it's something that you can enjoy, a flirtatious kind of energy. And then, but for those of you in relationships, it's a great time to spice them up as well. And then Mercury will be going over Saturn later on in the month, which will then suggest great communications in relationships. So a lot of emphasis there with these transits over Saturn. And with the 8th house getting a little bit more deeper, a little bit more meaningful with those relationships, and just in general, with life in general. Now we have some station directs this month. Neptune and Chiron are going direct in your 8th house of Aquarius. So for the past 5 months, if it's felt like things have been a little bit introspective in terms of your transformation process, in terms of depth and intensity and whatever, you know, changes is going on inside, know that now these things are going to then start to move forward and externalize a little bit, because Neptune in your guys' 8th house is really about spiritual transformation. A lot of you over the big picture going through tremendous healing and spiritual transformation with all this activity in your 8th house. So this is a time when things start to go direct and things start to ease up a little bit. It becomes a little bit more normal, less haze around that area too. And anything that you guys are involved with that's a joint resources with anyone else, this is a time when things can start to move forward in that area once these planets go station direct. Neptune will be station direct on the 16th and Chiron on the 23rd. All right, guys, so I'm going to draw a card and see where Spirit would like a little bit more emphasis. Okay, Aquarius. Well, that is where the Neptune and Chiron are going direct. So let's talk about what the Aquarius energy actually means in terms of that. You know, for you guys, you know, transformation is freeing. Every time you guys transform, you free yourself up. And there's freedom in that, you know, because when we are able to, you know, embrace, and we're not resisting, because the 8th house is really about embracing all aspects of ourselves. And when we embrace, when we become unified and whole within ourselves, and then we become alive, we become free. And in this case, it's a tremendous amount of service to others, you know, is what this really unlocks. In your guys' service, generally is always, is water. You guys are Cancers. And in terms of the 8th house, it's humanitarian. You guys have a lot to offer the collective that is transformative energy, that is constructive transformative energy, because the 8th house it's transformation, but it's always building upon a solid foundation. And sometimes the top of the foundation needs to be re-cleaned, but then once that's done, then you can keep building upon the temple, which is essentially you. You are that temple that we're constantly rebuilding. So being open to those transformations, there's nothing personal going on in that sector for you this month, but I think this is just an overall indicator to just be your true self, be free, and see the intense freedom that comes from you being a willing participant in the changes of life is what I really feel with this. All right, Cancer, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.